The construction of the Sultan Ahmed Mosque, commissioned by the Ottoman Sultan Ahmed I, who ascended the throne at a young age and died at a very young age, began in 1609 and was completed in 1616 after 7 years of intense work. After Mimar Sinan, only one person was believed to be able to produce such a masterpiece, and that was Mimar Sedefkar Mehmed Ağa, one of Sinan's students, who also designed the mosque. The dome and ceiling decorations of the Sultan Ahmed Mosque are extremely important. So important, in fact, that it was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1985 under the name of Istanbul Historical Areas. The superiority of Sultan Ahmed stems from the multifaceted artistry of its architect, Sedefkar Mehmed Ağa. He was not only a brilliant architect, but also a great musician and poet. This great artist wanted to showcase his architecture, painting, music, poetry, and mother-of-pearl inlay skills in a single work at its peak. He served as an apprentice and journeyman to the great architect Sinan for a full 21 years. After Sinan's death, he became the chief architect. In those years, the Sokulu Mehmet Pasha Palace was located here, and it was necessary to purchase the palace, demolish it to clear the surrounding area. Evliya Çelebi, who lived in the same century, describes the groundbreaking ceremony as follows. All the master architects and engineers gathered, and with the prayers of Uskudulari Mahmud Effendi and our master Evliya Effendi, the digging of the foundation began. First, Sultan Ahmed Han filled his robe with soil, saying, "O Lord, this is the service of your servant Ahmed, accept it." He carried soil from the foundation, and together with the laborers, Sultan Ahmed Han himself struck the first pickaxe into the foundation. This pickaxe is now in the Topkapi Palace Museum. As is known, the founder of the mosque, Sultan Ahmed I, ascended the Ottoman throne at a young age, only 14 years old, as the 14th ruler and reigned for 14 years before dying at the age of 28. The mosque stands on 4 pillars, and its dome, with a height of 43 meters and a diameter of 23.5 meters, has relatively modest dimensions. These dimensions demonstrate the skill of Mehmed Ağa as an engineer. The interior of the mosque is filled with a spacious atmosphere thanks to its 260 skillfully placed windows. Due to the way the windows are placed, the large dome seems to hang in the air. Originally, the windows were covered with stained glass decorated with floral motifs. There were no plain window panes, and this colored glasswork was of the highest quality. All foreign travelers who visited the mosque at that time noticed this feature and admired the play of colors in the windows and its flawless execution. At the western entrance of the courtyard, there is a heavy iron chain. Historians say this chain was made to show that the Sultan, upon entering the courtyard on horseback, should bend down to avoid hitting his head, and that even the Sultan had to compose himself before entering the mosque. According to records regarding the mosque, 21,043 tiles were used. The mosque's marble-paved inner courtyard is surrounded by a portico covered with 30 domes resting on 26 columns. In the center of the courtyard is a fountain with 6 columns. The columns of the fountain are decorated with carnation and tulip motifs. It is the only mosque with 6 minarets. 4 of the minarets have 3 balconies each, and 2 have 2 balconies each. Since the only mosque with 6 minarets before the construction of this mosque was the Mecca Mosque, a 7th minaret was added to the Mecca Mosque to maintain its prestige. The mosque stands as the central structure of a complex consisting of a madrasa, a dar-ul-Qura, a school for Quranic studies, a primary school, a bazaar, a bathhouse, an imaret, a soup kitchen, a dar-u-shifa, a hospital, and a mausoleum, and is surrounded by an outer courtyard. In addition, ostrich eggs have been placed in various parts of the meticulously designed interior to prevent cobwebs. One of the most important elements inside the mosque is the mihrab, made of finely carved and sculpted marble. Besides the magnificence of the mihrab, surrounded by windows, the flawless acoustics of the interior ensure that the imam's voice can be easily heard even when the mosque is at its busiest. Indeed, this feature is still admired by architects today. During his reign, Sultan Ahmed did something no other Ottoman sultan had done. He had the sacred beard, Lihya-i-Sharif, of the Prophet Muhammad, which was among the relics brought to Istanbul during the reign of Ya'uz Salim, placed one by one in glass tubes and distributed throughout the Ottoman lands. If today there is a sacred beard in even the most remote village mosque in Anatolia, it's thanks to Sultan Ahmed. For example, before the Ottoman era, the covering of the Kaaba, which was renewed every year, was prepared in Cairo by the Mamluks. Even after Ya'uz Salim abolished the Mamluk state, the preparation of the Kaaba's covering continued in Cairo until Sultan Ahmed's order. Sultan Ahmed declared that from then on, the covering would be prepared in Istanbul and sent to Mecca from there. This custom continued until 1918, with the Kaaba's covering being prepared in the courtyard of the Sultan Ahmed Mosque at the behest of Sultan Ahmed I and sent along with the Surah processions. Another anecdote related to the Sultan Ahmed Mosque is as follows. The construction of the mosque was ongoing. Sultan Ahmed I had the sacred footprint of the Prophet Muhammad, which was in the tomb of the Mamluk Sultan Qaitbay in Egypt, brought to Istanbul. The Sultan thought that when the mosque he was having built was completed, the Prophet's footprint should be displayed there, and in this way more people would come to pray. The footprint of the Prophet Muhammad brought to Istanbul was placed in the Ayyub Sultan Mausoleum until the mosque's construction was completed. However, shortly after, the Sultan had a dream. In his dream, the Prophet Muhammad was the judge, and Sultan Qaitbay was the plaintiff, complaining about Sultan Ahmed. In the dream, the Prophet Muhammad decreed that the sacred footprint should be returned to its rightful place. Sultan Ahmed Khan awoke from the dream in cold sweat. Based on this dream, it was decided that the blessed footprint of the Prophet Muhammad brought to Istanbul should be sent back to its place. However, he could not bear to deprive Istanbul of the Prophet's blessed footprint. Several copies were made. One was placed in the Ayyub Sultan Mausoleum. Another is currently in the mausoleum of Sultan Abdul Hamid I. He also gifted a mold to the lodge of Aziz Mahmud Hudayi, and this wooden footprint mold was preserved in its original state on the wall of the Uskudar Hudayi Lodge from 1617 to 1914. However, it was sent back to Topkapi Palace during the First World War. He made a small model of the footprint and had it placed upon his crest with a poem which has the following meaning. What if I always carry the picture of the footprint of the Shah of Prophets on my head like a crown? The Rose of Love Garden is the owner of that footprint. O Ahmed, don't stop, lay your face to the foot of that rose. The place where this blessed footstep was placed cannot be ignored. That opening is closed, but a special piece of brown-veined marble is found, not among the other wall coverings of the mosque, and this place is marked in a distinctive way. In the Sultan Ahmed Mosque, which they call the Blue Mosque because of its 20,000 pieces of tiles, the brown-toned marble attracts the attention of visitors. Until we meet again in another historical presentation, take care of yourself.